After my wife passed away, my family kicked me out. I worked as a driver until an old man got in and asked, "Are you Hartmann?" He took me to an office, opened a safe, and said, "Your father saved my company. This is yours now." I was completely speechless. Before we dive deeper into this story, I have one small request. Please subscribe, drop a like, comment, and hit that hype button to boost this channel so more people can discover these incredible Reddit stories. That's the short version. The truth takes longer, and it starts 3 months earlier, at Eleanor's funeral. The service was beautiful. White roses, soft organ music, a minister who never met her but spoke like they'd been close friends for decades. My son Christopher stood beside me in his charcoal suit, hair gelled back, checking his phone every 30 seconds. My daughter Anna kept dabbing her eyes with tissue, though I noticed the tissue stayed dry. Eleanor would have laughed at all of it. She hated pretense. After they lowered the casket, everyone gathered at our house, the house Eleanor and I bought in 1989, a modest 3-bedroom colonial with a maple tree in the front yard. Chris and his wife Natalie arrived first, naturally. Natalie wore sunglasses inside, which seemed like overkill even for a funeral. "Dad," Chris said, pulling me aside into the kitchen, "we need to talk about your finances." I was washing dishes. People had brought casseroles, as if carbohydrates could fill the hole in my chest. What about them? Mom handled everything, right? The bills, the accounts. She did. Chris nodded, glancing at Natalie, who stood in the doorway examining her nails. "We're worried you might not be able to manage it all. The mortgage, utilities, insurance. It's a lot for one person." "I'm 67, not senile." "Nobody said you were," Natalie cut in, her voice sickeningly sweet. "But grief affects people. We just want to help." Help. That word would haunt me. Anna and her husband Jake appeared then, both looking uncomfortable. Anna had her mother's eyes but none of her warmth. Jake was an insurance man, the kind who calculated risk in every conversation. "Chris told us about the financial situation," Anna said. "We think it might be easier if we consolidated things, simplified the accounts." "My accounts are fine. For now," Jake said. "But Dad, realistically, this house is too much for you alone. The maintenance, the property taxes. We could sell it, get you into a nice apartment, something manageable." I turned off the water. "You want to sell my house?" "Our childhood home," Anna corrected gently. "We want what's best for you." What's best for me. Another phrase I'd learned to hate. They wore me down over the next 2 weeks. Constant phone calls, visits where they'd point out everything wrong with the house. The leaky faucet, the loose step, the furnace that groaned on cold mornings. They made me feel incompetent, which was the point. Then one Tuesday afternoon, Chris showed up with papers. "Just a power of attorney," he said. "Standard stuff. It'll let me help with bills if you need it." I signed. I was tired. I missed Eleanor. I wasn't thinking clearly. That was my first mistake. The second came 3 days later when Chris returned with more documents. "We're transferring the deed," he explained, "into a family trust. Tax purposes. It protects the asset. The house is my asset, and it'll stay in the family. This just makes it more efficient." I should have called a lawyer. I should have asked questions. Instead, I signed again, because I trusted my son, because I thought family meant something. 2 weeks after that, I came home from the grocery store to find the locks changed. My key wouldn't turn. I stood there on my own porch, bags in hand, trying to understand. Then Chris opened the door. "Dad, we need to talk." "Why won't my key work?" "We've made some decisions. For your well-being." Natalie appeared behind him. "We've arranged a lovely facility. Very clean, lots of activities." "I'm not going to a facility." "You're not stable," Chris said flatly. "We've consulted with professionals. You're showing signs of cognitive decline." "That's nonsense. See? Aggression, paranoia, classic symptoms." He gestured to the lawn where my belongings sat in garbage bags. We've packed your essentials. Jake found you a studio apartment near the highway. It's affordable. I looked at my daughter. Anna? She wouldn't meet my eyes. It's for the best, Dad. That was the moment I understood. They weren't worried about me. They wanted the house. They wanted whatever money Eleanor and I had saved. They wanted me gone. You're kicking me out. We're helping you transition, Natalie said. I didn't fight. What would be the point? I loaded the garbage bags into my truck, a 2008 Ford Ranger that barely ran, and drove to the studio apartment. It was a single room above a dry cleaner, reeking of chemicals, with a window that overlooked a dumpster. I sat on the stained mattress and laughed. Actually, laughed. Because the alternative was crying, and I'd done enough of that. Eleanor was gone. My children had taken over my home. I had $300 in my wallet and no access to my bank accounts. I was 67 years old and completely alone. So I did what any desperate man does. I found work. The rideshare company didn't care about my age. They needed drivers. I needed money. The training took 3 hours. By that weekend, I was picking up drunk college kids and exhausted nurses, listening to them complain about their lives while I swallowed my own bitterness. The irony wasn't lost on me. I'd spent 40 years as a mechanical engineer, designing systems for manufacturing plants. Now I was driving strangers for $8 a ride. But I learned things. Late-night passengers reveal themselves. The businessman bragging about screwing over his partners. The lawyer laughing about loopholes. The realtor explaining how she convinced elderly clients to sell under value. They all reminded me of my children. One night, about 6 weeks into my new life, I picked up a passenger near the financial district. The app said his name was Raymond H. The pickup location was a private office building, the kind with marble lobbies and security guards. He walked out slowly, leaning on a cane, dressed in an expensive coat despite the mild weather. Late 70s, maybe early 80s. He had the bearing of someone who'd been important once and never forgot it. I helped him into the back seat. "Thank you," he said. His voice was rough, like gravel in a mixer. "Where to?" He gave me an address I didn't recognize. As I pulled away, he studied me in the rearview mirror. "You're Hartmann," he said. Not a question. I tensed. "Do I know you?" "No, but I knew your father." I nearly ran a red light. "My father has been gone for 30 years. "I'm aware. I attended the funeral. You didn't notice me." "Who are you?" "Raymond Hale. Your father worked for me in 1978. Saved my company from a catastrophic equipment failure. I offered him partnership shares. He refused, said he didn't need them. I told him I'd hold them anyway, just in case." He paused. "I've been trying to find you for 10 years. My hands were shaking on the wheel. "Why?" "Because those shares are still yours, and I'm dying." I pulled over. "This is a joke." "No joke. Take me to my office. I'll show you." 20 minutes later, we stood in a mahogany-paneled room on the 14th floor. Raymond opened a safe with steady hands and removed a folder. Inside were stock certificates, legal documents, letters from my father, written in his careful engineer's handwriting, declining the shares but thanking Raymond for the gesture. "Your father was stubborn," Raymond said. "He thought accepting equity would compromise his objectivity. I respected that. But I never dissolved the position. These shares have split 4 times. They're now worth approximately $14 million. The room tilted. "Why now?" I managed. "Because I'm 82 and out of time. Because my lawyers finally found you. Because your father saved me, and I pay my debts." He pushed the folder across the desk. "It's yours, no strings." I stared at the documents. "I don't understand." "You don't need to. Just sign the transfer papers. My attorney will handle the rest." I should have been happy, grateful. Instead, I felt something else building in my chest. Something cold and sharp. Raymond seemed to read my mind. Someone hurt you. My children. They took everything. He nodded slowly. Then I suggest you use this wisely. I signed the papers in a daze. He gave me a business card for his attorney, a woman named Miriam Snow. Then I drove him home and sat in my car for an hour, staring at the card. My children thought I was broken. Harmless. They were wrong. I didn't tell anyone. That was the first rule. Keep the secret. Keep the power. The next morning, I called Miriam Snow from a gas station payphone. Yes, I used a payphone. I wasn't taking chances with my cell. Chris probably had ways to monitor it. Insurance, Jake definitely did. Miriam's office was in the business district, 30 floors up in a glass tower. The receptionist looked at my worn jacket and jeans like I'd wandered in from the street. Which, technically, I had. Stanley Hartmann, I said. I have an appointment. She checked her computer, surprised. Ms. Snow will see you now. Miriam was younger than I expected. Late 40s, sharp gray suit, hair pulled back tight. She gestured to a leather chair and closed the door. Mr. Hartmann, Raymond spoke highly of you. He barely knows me. He knows your father. That's enough. She opened a file. The shares transferred this morning, $14.2 million after taxes. The question is, what do you want to do with it? I want to destroy my children. She didn't blink. Legally, I assume. Completely legally. Good. Revenge is cleaner that way. She leaned back. Tell me everything. I told her. The funeral, the papers, the changed locks, the garbage bags on the lawn, the studio apartment, every humiliating detail. She took notes on a legal pad, her expression neutral. When I finished, she tapped her pen against the desk. They made 3 mistakes. First, they assumed you were helpless. Second, they put everything in writing. Third, they got greedy. She pulled out another file. I took the liberty of researching your son's business. Christopher Hartmann, CEO of Hartmann Consulting Solutions. Very impressive website. Very unimpressive financials. He's struggling? He's drowning. His company has 17 clients, but only 3 paying accounts. The rest are IOUs and promises. He's leveraged your former home as collateral for a business loan. If the bank calls it, he loses everything. I felt a spark. Can they call it? Not without cause, but if his company's financials come under scrutiny, the bank might review their loan terms. An anonymous tip to a regulatory auditor could trigger that. You'd do that? I wouldn't. You would. I'm just explaining possibilities. She smiled thinly. Let's discuss structure. We'll establish a trust to hold your assets. You'll be the beneficiary, but the trust name won't connect to you. You'll continue driving, maintain your current lifestyle. Nobody can know you have money. Why keep driving? Because visible poverty is invisible power. Your children think you're beaten. Let them believe it. Over the next week, Miriam set up everything. The trust was called Cascade Holdings, registered in Delaware. On paper, I owned nothing. In reality, I controlled millions. She also started mapping my children's vulnerabilities. Christopher's company was the obvious target. Miriam's team found irregularities, misreported revenue, inflated client lists, questionable deductions. Nothing major yet, but enough to interest the IRS if someone pointed it out. Anna's husband, Jake, was sloppier. His insurance business had a pattern of denied claims that seemed designed to boost short-term profits. A few complainants had tried to sue but lacked resources. If someone funded those cases, Jake would spend the next year in depositions. Natalie was different. Her vulnerability wasn't financial. It was social. She ran an influencer account with 80,000 followers, posting about luxury lifestyle and family values. Her entire identity was built on appearing perfect. She's easy, Miriam said. The truth would destroy her. What truth? That her husband's company is fraudulent. That they evicted his father and stole his home. That the perfect family is built on lies. Miriam closed the file. But we start small. Make them sweat before the hammer falls. I learned patience. I kept driving. kept living in that chemical-stinking studio. I saw Chris twice in passing, once at a coffee shop, once at a stoplight. He didn't recognize me. I'd lost weight, stopped shaving regularly. I looked homeless, perfect. Meanwhile, Miriam worked. She bought a small debt collection agency, the kind that purchases old medical bills for pennies on the dollar. Through that agency, she quietly acquired debts connected to Christopher's business. Office equipment leases, software licenses, small amounts but strategic. Then she started calling them in. Christopher's assistant called me 3 weeks later. I almost didn't answer. "Mr. Hartmann, this is Melissa, from your son's office. He'd like to see you." "Why?" "He didn't say, but he asked if you could come by tomorrow afternoon." I agreed. Not because I wanted to see him, but because I wanted to watch him squirm. His office was in a renovated warehouse, all exposed brick and modern furniture. Christopher sat behind a glass desk, looking thinner than I remembered. Stressed. "Dad, thanks for coming." I didn't sit. "What do you want?" "I need a favor." That almost made me laugh. "You kicked me out of my house and you want a favor?" "I didn't kick you out. We relocated you for your safety." "Into a studio apartment above a dry cleaner." He waved that away. "Look, I'm in a temporary cash flow situation. Some creditors are being aggressive. I need you to co-sign a loan." "No." "Dad, you took everything I had. Now you want my signature? Go to hell." His jaw tightened. "You're being irrational." "I'm being rational for the first time in months." "Fine. Forget it." He turned to his computer. "I should have known you'd be useless." I left without another word. That night, Miriam called. "How did it feel?" "Good." "Excellent. Because tomorrow we accelerate." She filed anonymous complaints with the Illinois Department of Revenue, flagging Christopher's business for a compliance review. Nothing accusatory, just questions about reported income versus visible expenses. For Jake, she funded 2 former clients to file formal complaints with the state insurance board. Both cases were solid. Jake would have to respond, provide documentation, defend his practices. For Natalie, Miriam did something simpler. She created a fake social media account and started leaving polite, factual comments on Natalie's posts. "Beautiful home. Didn't your father-in-law used to live there? Love the family values content. How is Stanley doing?" Each comment was innocent. Each comment was a time bomb. I watched the chaos unfold from my driver's seat. Christopher stopped answering his phone. Anna called twice, panicked, asking if I knew anything about insurance complaints. I played dumb. "I'm just driving," I told her. "I don't know anything about your problems." The lie was delicious. Winter came early that year. By November, the city was frozen, and so was my heart. I kept driving, 6 nights a week, 10 hours a shift. I saw the same passengers cycling through their same mistakes. The executive cheating on his wife. The college student buying substances downtown. The nurse weeping after a double shift. Everyone had problems. Mine just happened to involve calculated revenge. Miriam called me twice a week with updates. Christopher's business was now under full audit. The IRS wanted 3 years of records. His lawyer was expensive, and Chris couldn't afford expensive anymore. Jake's insurance board hearing was scheduled for January. The complaints were adding up. 5 former clients now, all with legitimate grievances. Miriam's firm was representing them pro bono, which meant Jake faced real lawyers instead of angry customers. Natalie's social media followers were starting to ask questions. Who was Stanley? Why did the Hartmann family evict him? The comments multiplied. Her perfectly curated image was cracking, but I wasn't satisfied yet. Pressure wasn't enough. I wanted them to understand what they'd done. I wanted them to feel what I felt standing on that porch, holding garbage bags, realizing my children had erased me. "We need to buy the house," I told Miriam. "Excuse me?" "The house they stole. Chris used it as collateral. If the bank forecloses, it goes to auction." I want Cascade Holdings to buy it. She considered. That's risky. It connects you to the trust. Only if Chris figures it out, and he's too busy panicking to think clearly. Fair point. She made a note. I'll set up a shell buyer. If the property hits auction, we'll acquire it. How do we make sure it hits auction? We call the loan. Christopher already missed 2 payments, the bank's nervous. A 3rd missed payment triggers default. From there, it's automatic. Do it. She did. By mid-December, the foreclosure notice was filed. Christopher had 60 days to pay the full loan balance or lose the house. He didn't have the money. I knew it. Miriam knew it. Chris probably knew it too, but denial is a powerful force. I drove past the house one night. The maple tree in front was bare, branches skeletal against the streetlights. The windows were dark. Chris and Natalie had moved out weeks earlier, probably to avoid embarrassment. I remembered planting that tree with Eleanor 34 years ago. She'd insisted on maple because of the fall colors. We'll grow old watching it grow, she'd said. She didn't make it that long. Neither did the marriage between our children and decency. I parked and stared at the house. My house. Soon to be my house again, through a legal labyrinth Chris would never untangle. My phone rang. Miriam. We have a problem. What kind? Christopher's trying to file bankruptcy. If he succeeds, it complicates the foreclosure. We need to block it. How? By proving he has hidden assets, or by proving fraud, or both. And do we have proof? We have suspicions, but suspicions don't hold up in bankruptcy court. We need documents. I thought about Chris's office, the glass desk, the computer he'd barely looked away from. What if I could get them? Don't do anything illegal, Stanley. I won't. But hypothetically, if documents appeared anonymously, hypothetically I'd know what to do with them. The next day I called Christopher's assistant again. Melissa, it's Stanley Hartmann. I've reconsidered. I'd like to meet with Chris again. She sounded surprised. Oh, he's very busy, but I can probably... Tell him I'm willing to co-sign the loan. Silence. Then, I'll call you back. She did, 10 minutes later. Christopher would see me that afternoon. I arrived at his office wearing my best attempt at contrition. Chris looked worse than before. Gray skin, dark circles, cheap suit. The company was dying, and he was dying with it. You'll sign? He asked immediately. I'll consider it, but I need to understand what I'm signing. Show me the financials. He hesitated. Dad, this is complicated. You wouldn't... I worked as an engineer for 40 years. I can read a spreadsheet. Reluctantly, he turned his monitor toward me. I saw everything. Revenue reports, client contracts, bank statements. All of it inflated, manipulated, fraudulent. I pulled out my phone. Let me take notes. Dad, you can't... If I'm co-signing, I need records. You want my help or not? He relented. I photographed 6 screens of data before he noticed what I was doing. What are you doing? Due diligence. Delete those. No. His face went red. Delete them or get out. I stood. I'm not signing anything, and you're on your own. You awful man. You came here to sabotage me. I came here to understand what you did to me. Now I do. He lunged. Actually lunged, arms reaching for my phone. I stepped back, and he stumbled into his desk. Papers scattered. You stole my house, I said quietly. You threw me out like garbage. You told everyone I was incompetent, and now you want me to save you? You don't understand the pressure I'm under. You don't understand what you did. I left. He didn't follow. That night, I sent the photos to Miriam. She called back in an hour. This is a gold mine, falsified tax documents, inflated contracts, phantom revenue. If I file this with the bankruptcy court, his case gets dismissed, and he's flagged for fraud investigation. Do it. Stanley, this will destroy him. Good. 2 days later, the documents were filed anonymously with the court. Christopher's bankruptcy case collapsed. The IRS opened a criminal investigation. The foreclosure proceeded. On Christmas Eve, the house went to auction. Cascade Holdings won the bid. I owned my home again, and my son had no idea. I didn't move back into the house, not yet. That would reveal everything too soon. Instead, I watched from a distance as my children's lives unraveled in real time. Christopher's business officially closed in early January. The IRS investigation meant he couldn't secure new clients, couldn't access frozen accounts, couldn't operate. He fired his staff, sold the office furniture, moved back in with Natalie's parents, which must have thrilled everyone involved. Jake's insurance hearing concluded with a suspended license. He couldn't sell policies for 18 months. The complaints kept coming. 3 more former clients, emboldened by the board's ruling, filed civil suits. Anna called me in late January. I almost didn't answer. "Dad?" Her voice was small, strained. "I need to talk to you." "About what?" "About everything. Can we meet?" We met at a diner near the highway. Anna looked exhausted, older than her 33 years. She ordered coffee and didn't touch it. "I'm sorry," she said. "For what specifically?" "For how we treated you. For the house. For believing Chris when he said you weren't capable of living alone." "You signed the papers, too." "I know." She twisted her napkin. "I told myself it was for your protection. But that was a lie. We wanted control. We wanted the house. And the money." She nodded miserably. "Mom left more than we expected. We thought if we consolidated everything, we could invest it, grow it. Chris promised returns. How'd that work out? We lost everything. Jake's practice is finished. I can't find work because nobody wants to hire the wife of a suspended agent. We're living in a rental and barely making rent. I should have felt sympathy. I didn't. What do you want from me, Anna? Forgiveness, or advice, or I don't know." She looked at me. "How are you surviving?" "Driving, cheap apartment, I manage." "I heard Chris tried to get you to co-sign a loan." "He did. I'm glad you didn't." "Are you?" "Because 3 months ago you stood by while he kicked me out." Her face crumpled. "I know. I'm so sorry. Sorry doesn't give me back what I lost." "I understand. But Dad, I want you to know, I never stopped loving you. I just got lost." I stood. So did I. Difference is, I found my way. I left her sitting there. Maybe that was cruel. Maybe she deserved worse. I didn't care anymore. Miriam called that afternoon. "How did it go with your daughter?" She apologized. "Do you believe her?" "Doesn't matter. She made her choices." "True. And speaking of choices, we have a decision to make. The house is yours. Do you want to evict Natalie's parents, who are technically still listed on the lease Chris signed?" I considered. "No, let them stay, but I want the rent." "Done. I'll have Cascade Holdings send a formal notice. New landlord, new terms." That notice arrived at their address 3 days later. Natalie posted about it on social media. A long rant about predatory landlords buying foreclosed properties and raising rent on struggling families. The comments were not sympathetic. "Wait, isn't that your husband's father's house? Didn't you guys kick him out?" "Karma's real, sweetheart." Natalie deleted the post, too late. Screenshots circulated. Her follower count dropped by 12,000 in a week. I watched it all from my studio apartment, eating ramen and smiling. But I wasn't done. Not even close. Raymond Hale called me in early February. His voice was weaker than before. "How's the war going?" "Successfully?" "Good. I wanted to tell you something before I forget." He coughed. "Your father once told me that revenge is a tool, not a goal. Use it to build something, not just tear down." "What am I supposed to build?" "Dignity. Yours, not theirs. Make them understand what they destroyed, then walk away." "I don't know if I can walk away." "You will, because you're better than them. Your father was better than me, and I suspect you're better than him." He hung up. I sat there thinking about his words. Dignity. Maybe he was right. Maybe destroying them wasn't enough. Maybe I needed to show them exactly what they'd lost when they threw me away. I called Miriam. I want to do something. Define something. I want to invite them to dinner. Long pause. Explain. All of them. Chris, Natalie, Anna, Jake. I'll tell them I want to make peace. We'll meet somewhere neutral, and then I'll show them everything. That's theatrical. That's the point. When? Soon, before I lose my nerve. She laughed. Stanley, you haven't had nerves since December. But fine. Where? Christopher's old office. The landlord owes me a favor. The landlord? Cascade Holdings owns the building. I bought it last month. She laughed harder. You're a monster. I learned from the best. The dinner was scheduled for February 14th, Valentine's Day. The irony was intentional. I sent formal invitations through Miriam's office. Professional letterhead, polite language. Stanley Hartmann requests the pleasure of your company for a family reconciliation dinner. February 14th, 6 p.m. Christopher's former office location. Business casual attire. Christopher called me immediately. What is this? A chance to talk, all of us. About what? About everything that happened. About making things right. Suspicion in his voice. Why now? Because I'm tired of being angry. I want my family back. Lie, but a convincing one. He agreed. So did Anna, Jake, and Natalie, though Natalie only confirmed through a terse text message. The stage was set. Miriam helped me prepare. We converted Christopher's old office, now empty, since he'd abandoned the lease, into a conference room. One long table, 6 chairs, professional lighting. A screen on the wall connected to my laptop. You're sure about this? Miriam asked the night before. Completely. Once you start, there's no stopping. They'll know everything. That's the idea. She squeezed my shoulder. Your father would be proud. My father would tell me I'm being petty. Maybe. But he'd understand. February 14th arrived cold and clear. I dressed carefully. The one good suit I owned. The tie Eleanor bought me for our 40th anniversary. I looked like a man trying to make amends. Perfect. I arrived at the office an hour early, set up the laptop, loaded the files, tested the screen. Everything worked. At 5:55, they started arriving. Christopher came first, alone. Natalie refused to attend, citing a prior commitment, which probably meant hiding from her collapsing social media presence. He wore jeans and a sweater, looking defensive. Anna and Jake arrived together at 6:02. Jake's eyes swept the room like he was calculating insurance premiums. Anna looked nervous. Dad, she said softly. Thank you for doing this. We'll see if you're still thanking me in an hour. That made her pause. I gestured to the chairs. Sit, please. They sat. Christopher at one end, Anna and Jake across from me. I took the head of the table, classical power position. I appreciate you coming, I started. I know the last few months have been difficult for all of us. That's putting it mildly, Christopher muttered. Let me finish. I want to talk about what happened after your mother was gone, the decisions you made, the actions you took. Dad, we've been over this. No, you've talked. I've listened. Now it's my turn. I opened my laptop. The screen on the wall lit up. Let's start with you, Christopher. The first slide showed his company's falsified revenue reports. The second showed the IRS investigation notice. The third showed the bankruptcy filing and its dismissal. His face went white. Where did you get those? You showed them to me, remember? When you asked me to co-sign your loan? That was private. You made it my business when you tried to use me. I clicked to the next slide. Here's the foreclosure notice on the house, the one you leveraged without telling me, the one you lost. Anna leaned forward. How do you have these documents? Because I'm not incompetent, despite what you all claimed. Jake shifted uncomfortably. Mr. Hartmann, I'm not sure what you're implying. I'm not implying anything. I'm stating facts. Next slide. Jake's insurance board ruling. You falsified claims to inflate profits. 5 clients filed complaints. Your license is suspended. Those cases are sealed, not from the Illinois Department of Insurance Public Records database. You just have to know where to look. Anna's face crumbled. Dad, what is this? This is the truth about what you did to me and what you did to yourselves. I clicked again. Let's talk about the house. The slide showed the auction notice, the winning bid, the purchaser, Cascade Holdings, LLC. Christopher squinted at the screen. Who the hell is Cascade Holdings? Good question. I clicked once more. The org chart appeared. Cascade Holdings at the top. Below it, a list of properties. The house, Christopher's office building, 2 parking lots, a strip mall where Jake's office used to be. Below that, the trust structure. Cascade Holdings, managed by Miriam Snow's law firm, beneficiary listed as Stanley Hartmann. The room went silent. That's you, Anna whispered. That's me. Christopher stood. That's not possible. You're broke. You live in a studio apartment. I do live in a studio apartment. Because I chose to. Because I wanted you to believe I was helpless. You're lying. I clicked to the bank statements. $14 million divided across investment accounts and real estate holdings. My father worked for a man named Raymond Hale in 1978. Hale gave him partnership shares. Dad refused them. Hale kept them anyway. When Hale found me last year, those shares were worth $14 million. Jake's mouth opened. Nothing came out. I used that money to systematically dismantle everything you built on my back. Christopher, I bought your debts and called them in. Jake, I funded the clients you screwed over. Natalie, I exposed your fraud on social media. Christopher's face turned purple. You destroyed my business. No, your fraud destroyed your business. I just documented it. This is insane. This is justice. You kicked me out after your mother's funeral. You took my house, my savings, my dignity. You declared me mentally unfit. You erased me. I stood, so I returned the favor. Anna was crying. We were wrong. We know that now. Now that you're suffering, you understand. How convenient. Please, Dad. The house is mine again. Christopher's business is finished. Jake's career is over. Natalie's reputation is ruined. You're all exactly where you put me. Powerless, humiliated, alone. Christopher lunged across the table. Actually lunged, hands reaching for my throat. Jake grabbed him, pulled him back. Papers flew. A chair fell. You awful man. You came here to sabotage me. I'm your father, and you threw me away like I was nothing. Security appeared. 2 guards I'd hired for exactly this purpose. They positioned themselves between me and Christopher. It's time for you to leave, I said calmly. You can't. This is my building. You're trespassing. Leave now, or I'll have you arrested. The guards stepped forward. Christopher jerked away from Jake's grip and stormed out. Jake followed, looking back once with something like fear. Anna stayed seated, sobbing. I'm so sorry, Dad. I'm so sorry. I know you are, now. Is there anything I can do? Anything to fix this? I looked at her. My daughter, Eleanor's daughter. The girl who used to bring me coffee in my workshop, who asked about gear ratios and torque specifications, who said she wanted to be an engineer just like me. That girl was gone. This woman had betrayed me. No, I said. There's nothing. She left crying. The guards watched her go. I stood alone in the conference room, my laptop still glowing, the evidence of my revenge displayed on the screen behind me. I'd won. Completely, decisively, legally. They were destroyed, and I was triumphant. So why did I feel hollow? I didn't sleep that night. I sat in my studio apartment, staring at the ceiling, replaying the dinner over and over. Christopher's rage, Anna's tears, Jake's fear. I'd broken them, just like they broke me. Miriam called at 8 a.m. I heard it went well. Define well. They know. They're ruined. You're vindicated. That's the definition of well in revenge terms. Right. Pause. You don't sound victorious. I'm tired. That's normal. Revenge is exhausting. Take a few days. Let it settle. I hung up. She was wrong. This wasn't exhaustion. This was something else. Emptiness? Regret? No, not regret. I'd do it all again. They deserved everything they got. But Raymond Hale's words kept circling my mind. Revenge is a tool, not a goal. Use it to build something. What had I built? A pile of ruins. My children's lives destroyed. My relationships severed forever. And myself, still alone. Still living above a dry cleaner. Still driving strangers at night. I'd won the war, but lost everything else. My phone rang. Unknown number. I answered. Mr. Hartmann? This is Claire Hale, Raymond's daughter. My chest tightened. Is he... He passed this morning, peacefully. He asked me to call you. I'm sorry. Don't be. He was ready, but he wanted you to have something. Papers rustled. He left you a letter. I can read it or I can mail it. Read it, please. She cleared her throat. Stanley, if you're hearing this, you've either completed your revenge or given up on it. Either way, I hope you learned what I did. Winning doesn't always feel like winning. Your father taught me that success isn't about defeating enemies. It's about building something they can't touch. You have resources now. Use them for more than destruction. Build something your wife would be proud of. Build something you can be proud of. Don't waste the rest of your life on bitterness. Signed, Raymond. I closed my eyes. Thank you. He also left you his personal shares of Hartmann Logistics, the company your father helped save. It's yours now. Full control. Why? Because he believed you'd do something good with it. He believed in you more than you believe in yourself. She hung up. I sat there holding the phone, tears streaming down my face for the first time since Eleanor was gone. Raymond was right. Eleanor would hate what I'd done. She'd understand it. She might even support it. But she'd hate that revenge was all I'd accomplished. What do you want me to build? I asked the empty room, asked Eleanor, wherever she was. No answer, just traffic noise from outside and the hum of the refrigerator. I thought about my children, about the hole I'd torn in our family, about the fact that Christopher, Anna, and I would probably never speak again. Was that what I wanted? Yes, and no, and I didn't know anymore. My phone buzzed, text message from Anna. Dad, I know you probably never want to hear from me again, but I need you to know. You were right. About everything. We were selfish and cruel and we deserve what happened. I'm not asking for forgiveness. I just want you to know that I understand now. I love you. I'm sorry. I stared at the message for 10 minutes. Then I deleted it. Some wounds don't heal. Some relationships can't be fixed. Some betrayals are permanent. But maybe Raymond was right about one thing. I could still build something. I called Miriam. I want to start a scholarship fund. For what? Engineering students. Low-income, first-generation college kids. The kind who wouldn't get opportunities otherwise. In whose name? Eleanor Hartmann, my wife, the only person in this whole mess who deserved to be remembered. That's a good idea, Stanley. I also want to sell the house. Your house? Why? Because it's haunted, not literally, but I can't live there. Too many memories, too much pain. Sell it. Put the proceeds in the scholarship fund. And where will you live? I'll buy something small, something mine, somewhere Eleanor and I never lived, somewhere I can start over. Okay, I'll handle it. I hung up. For the first time in months, I felt like I could breathe. My children were ruined. That couldn't be undone. I didn't want to undo it. But I could choose what came next. I could choose to build instead of just destroying. Eleanor would like that. Maybe Raymond would too. I sat there in my studio apartment, the morning light filtering through the dirty window, and I started to plan. Not revenge this time. Something else. Something like redemption. By March, the pieces were moving. Miriam sold the house to a young couple with a baby. They repainted the exterior, planted new flowers where the maple tree once stood. I drove past once and didn't feel anything. Just a house. Somebody else's now. The scholarship fund launched in April. Eleanor Hartmann Memorial Engineering Scholarship, administered through the State University. Full tuition for 5 students annually, renewable for 4 years. Miriam handled the publicity. I stayed anonymous. I bought a condo downtown. 12th floor, big windows, view of the river, the opposite of the studio apartment. I furnished it simply, Scandinavian style, Eleanor would have called it. Clean lines, no clutter. I stopped driving in May, not because I had to, because I wanted to. "You're retiring?" Miriam asked when I told her. "I'm 67. I earned it." Most 67-year-olds don't have $14 million and a logistics company. Most 67-year-olds aren't me. She smiled. Fair. So what now? Now I figure out what Raymond meant, about building something. I started consulting. Small manufacturing companies, the kind struggling with outdated systems. I'd review their operations, suggest improvements, implement solutions. Some paid me, some couldn't afford to, so I did it free. It felt good, like engineering again, like solving problems instead of creating them. I didn't hear from Christopher, didn't expect to. Through Anna's social media, which I still checked occasionally, a habit I couldn't break, I learned he'd moved to Phoenix, some entry-level job at a tech company. Natalie went with him. They looked diminished in the photos. Smaller somehow. Jake's license suspension ended in July. He took a compliance job at a hospital. Boring work, safe work. The lawsuits settled quietly, without admission of guilt, but with enough money to make the clients go away. Anna stayed in the area. She got a job as an administrative assistant at a nonprofit. In August, she sent me another message. "Dad, I don't expect you to respond, but I wanted you to know I'm trying to be better. I volunteer twice a week at a senior center. I think about you every time. I think about how we treated you. I'm so ashamed. If you ever want to talk, I'm here. I love you." I didn't delete it this time, but I didn't respond either. Some things take time. Maybe forever. In September, I received a letter from the university. The first Eleanor Hartmann scholarship recipients wanted to meet me. I almost declined. Then I thought, what would Eleanor say? She'd tell me to go. So I went. 5 students, all nervous, sitting in a conference room at the engineering building. 3 women, 2 men, ages 18 to 22. They introduced themselves, thanked me awkwardly, talked about their projects. One girl, Maria, was studying mechanical engineering, same field I'd spent my career in. "Why mechanical?" I asked. "My dad's a machinist. He taught me to fix things when I was little. I loved it." She smiled. "He says engineering is just fixing things nobody's broken yet." I laughed. First real laugh in months. "Your dad's a smart man." After the meeting, Maria caught me in the hallway. "Mr. Hartmann, can I ask you something?" "Sure. Why'd you do this? The scholarship?" "My wife believed education could change lives. I wanted to honor that." "She must have been amazing." "She was." Maria nodded. "My abuela just passed. She's the reason I'm here. She saved money her whole life so I could go to college." Her eyes welled with tears. "I wish she could see this." "She sees it," I said. "Somehow, she sees it." I drove home thinking about Eleanor, about Raymond, about the fact that revenge had felt necessary, but building something felt better. Maybe I was finally learning. October brought unexpected news. Christopher called. I stared at my phone, his name on the screen. I almost didn't answer. "Stanley Hartmann," I said, formal, cold. "Dad." His voice was different, quieter. "I'm calling to... I don't know why I'm calling." "Then hang up." "Wait, please." He breathed out. "I heard about the scholarship. Mom's scholarship. Anna told me. And? And it's a good thing. A really good thing. I didn't respond. I'm not asking for forgiveness, he continued. I know I don't deserve it, but I wanted to say, you were right about everything. I was arrogant and cruel. I destroyed my own life and I tried to make you the one to blame. Yes. I'm working on being better. It's hard. Every day it's hard, but I'm trying. Good for you. Dad. Christopher, I appreciate the call, but I don't have anything to say to you. Silence. Then, I understand, but if you ever want to talk, I'm here. Noted. I hung up. My hands were shaking. Miriam called that night. I heard Christopher reached out. News travels fast. He called me first, asked if I thought you'd talk to him. I told him it wasn't my decision. What do you think I should do? That's not for me to say. But I'll ask you this. What would Eleanor want? Eleanor would want me to forgive him. Would she? I thought about it. Really thought. No. She'd want me to do whatever gave me peace, whether that's forgiveness or not. And what gives you peace? I don't know yet. The truth was, I didn't hate Christopher anymore. I didn't hate any of them. The rage had burned out months ago, leaving only ash. But that didn't mean I wanted them back in my life. Maybe someday. Maybe never. I was okay with both possibilities. November arrived, the anniversary of Eleanor's passing. I visited her grave for the first time since the funeral. The headstone was simple. Eleanor Hartmann, beloved wife and mother. I stood there in the cold, hands in my pockets. I did something terrible, I told her, and then I did something good. I don't know if that balances out. The wind picked up, withered leaves scattered across the grass. I miss you, every day, but I'm learning to be okay without you. I think you'd want that. I left flowers, white roses, her favorite, and drove home. That night, I sat in my condo and made a list. Things I've accomplished. Survived being thrown away by my children. Got revenge, complete. Started Eleanor's scholarship, ongoing. Helped struggling companies, ongoing. Found peace, in progress. Things I still need to do. Figure out what comes next. Decide about Christopher. Live the rest of my life without bitterness. It was a start. December arrived with the first real snow. I watched it fall from my condo window, drinking coffee, thinking about the year that had passed. 12 months ago, I was sleeping in my truck, eating gas station sandwiches, wondering if I'd ever feel human again. Now I had money, property, purpose, everything I'd lost and more. But something was still missing. I called Miriam. I want to do something with Hartmann Logistics. The company Raymond left you? What did you have in mind? I want to turn it into an employee-owned cooperative, distribute shares to the workers, give them control. Long pause. That's unusual. It's what my father would have wanted. He never cared about ownership. He cared about building things that lasted. It'll take time to structure. I have time. She laughed. You really are your father's son. Over the next weeks, we planned the transition. Hartmann Logistics employed 200 people across 4 states. Drivers, warehouse workers, office staff. Most had been there for years, surviving under Raymond's distant ownership. I met with the leadership team in January. They were skeptical. Why would you give us the company? The operations manager asked. Because I don't need it. And you do. There's got to be a catch. No catch. You run it. You profit from it. I'll keep a minority stake to fund the transition, but control goes to you. They looked at each other, confused. This doesn't make sense, the warehouse supervisor said. Nobody gives away a profitable company. I'm not giving it away. I'm putting it where it belongs, with the people who actually do the work. It took 3 months to finalize. Legal structures, tax implications, share distributions. Miriam's team worked overtime, By April, it was done. Hartmann Logistics became a worker cooperative. The employees owned it collectively. I retained 20% to fund operations and Eleanor's scholarship. The press covered it. Local papers, then regional, then national. Millionaire gives company to workers. A new model for corporate America. Retired engineer's radical gift. I ignored most of it. But one interview request caught my attention. A podcast about family wealth and inheritance. "We'd love to talk about your story," the host said. "About your father, Raymond Hale, the company, the scholarship." "I don't talk about my family." "We wouldn't have to, just the business side." I agreed. The interview aired in May. 45 minutes about engineering, corporate ownership, workers' rights. The host asked smart questions. I gave honest answers. Near the end, she asked, "Do you have any regrets?" I thought about that. Yes, but not about the company, about how I got here. "Can you elaborate?" "I hurt people intentionally. They hurt me first, but that doesn't make it right. If I could do it again, I'd find a different way." "What way?" "I don't know. Maybe there isn't one. Maybe some pain is unavoidable." After the podcast aired, I got an email from Christopher. "Dad, I listened to your interview. I know you were talking about us, about what we did and what you did back. I want you to know, I don't blame you. You had every right to destroy us. I'm just sorry it came to that. I'm sorry I made you into someone who had to destroy us. I'm working every day to become someone different, someone better, someone you might be proud of again. I don't expect anything. I just wanted you to know. Chris." I read it 3 times. Then I closed my laptop and sat in the dark. Raymond had been right. Revenge was a tool, not a goal. I'd used it well. I'd protected myself, reclaimed my dignity, proved I wasn't helpless. But the cost was permanent distance from my children. Was that worth it? Yes. And no. And maybe. I couldn't forgive them yet. Maybe ever. But I could acknowledge that they were trying. That was something. I wrote back, "I'm glad you're working on yourself. That's all anyone can do. Stanley." Short, neutral, not warm, but not cruel. He responded immediately. "Thank you for responding. That's more than I deserve." I didn't write back again. Baby steps. June brought the 2nd year of Eleanor's scholarship. 10 students now as we'd expanded the program. I met them all. They reminded me why I'd started it. To build something that outlasted my anger. One student asked me about Eleanor. "What was she like?" "Brilliant," I said. "Funny, kind. She saw the best in people even when they didn't deserve it. She sounds perfect." She wasn't perfect, but she was good, and that's rarer. In July, Anna reached out. Not by text this time. She showed up at my condo building, buzzed my apartment. "Dad? It's Anna. Can I come up?" My first instinct was to refuse, but I was tired of refusing. "5th floor," I said. She looked different when she entered. Thinner, older, dressed simply. No makeup. Her eyes were red. "Thank you for letting me in," she said. "What do you want, Anna?" "To apologize. In person. Not through text or email. Face to face. You already apologized." "I did. But I never gave you the chance to respond. I never let you tell me how much I hurt you." I gestured to the couch. We sat. "You broke me," I said. "You and your brother. After your mother was gone, when I needed you most, you turned your backs on me. I know. You declared me incompetent. You stole my house. You made me feel worthless." She was crying. "I know, and I can't fix it. I can't undo it. All I can do is tell you I'm sorry, and I understand if you never forgive me." "Why did you do it?" "Chris convinced me. He said you couldn't handle the house, the finances, the responsibility. He said we were helping you, and I believed him because it was easier than questioning him, because I wanted the money." She looked at me. "I'm not making excuses. I'm just explaining." "Do you understand what you took from me?" "Yes. Everything. Not everything. You took my dignity, my trust. my belief that family meant something. I know. We sat in silence. Finally, I said, I can't forgive you yet, Anna. Maybe never. But I appreciate you coming here. That's more than I deserve. Yes, it is. She stood to leave. At the door, she turned back. Dad? The scholarship. Mom would love it. I know. After she left, I poured a drink and stood at the window, watching the river. I'd spent a year destroying my children. Now they were trying to rebuild themselves. Did that mean I had to help them? Forgive them? Welcome them back? No. But I didn't have to hate them either. Maybe that was enough. Maybe that was all any of us could manage. I raised my glass to the window. Eleanor, I hope I'm doing this right. No answer. Just the city lights reflecting off the water. But I felt something like peace. August marked 18 months since Eleanor was gone. I was 68 now, healthier than I'd been in years. Regular exercise, decent food, purpose. Revenge had been fuel, but building something was sustenance. The scholarship fund was thriving. 15 students now. Maria, the mechanical engineering student, was designing a prosthetic hand for her senior project. She called it the Eleanor Project. It's for veterans, she explained when she showed me the prototype. Low cost, 3D printed, fully functional. Your wife believed in practical solutions, so do I. I felt my throat tighten. She'd be honored. Hartmann Logistics was profitable under worker ownership. Productivity was up, turnover was down. The employees voted to rename it Collective Logistics to reflect the new structure. I kept the 20% share and stayed on as an advisor, helping with system upgrades and efficiency improvements. It was satisfying work, not glamorous, but real. In September, Christopher sent me a package. Inside was a letter and a check. The letter read, Dad, I've been working in Phoenix for a year now, entry-level tech support. It's humbling, but I'm learning to be grateful for what I have instead of bitter about what I lost. Natalie and I are separated. She's back in Chicago. I'm staying here. I'm seeing a therapist twice a week, working on myself. This check is the first payment toward what I owe you. Not money. I know you don't need it. But symbolic repayment. I'm going to send one every month until I've covered what I stole. Not the house value. That's impossible. But the dignity. $1 at a time. Chris. The check was for $50. I stared at it for a long time. Then I deposited it into Eleanor's scholarship fund. The next month, another check arrived. $50 again. I deposited it. This became routine. Every month, $50. Every month, into the scholarship. After 6 months, I wrote back, Christopher, I've been putting your payments into your mother's scholarship fund. If you want to contribute directly, I'll give you the account information. Stanley. He responded, That's perfect, thank you. It wasn't forgiveness, but it was something. Anna kept her distance, respecting my boundaries, but she sent cards on holidays, nothing sentimental, just simple acknowledgments. Thinking of you, Anna. I didn't respond, but I kept them. In March, I turned 69. Miriam took me to dinner at an expensive restaurant downtown. 2 years ago, you were sleeping in your truck, she said, raising her wine glass. Now you're a philanthropist and a business advisor. That's quite the transformation. I had help. You had money. That's different from help. You chose how to use it. Raymond and Eleanor chose. I just followed their lead. Don't be modest. You built something good out of something terrible. That takes character. I clinked my glass against hers. To character, then. And to revenge done right. I laughed. Is there such a thing? You tell me. Do you regret it? I thought about that question. Really thought about it. No, I needed it. They needed it. It was ugly and painful and probably wrong, but it was necessary. And now? Now I'm trying to be the person Eleanor would recognize. The person I was before everything fell apart. Are you succeeding? Some days. We finished dinner. Outside, the city was warm, spring finally arriving. I walked Miriam to her car. Stanley, she said before getting in, you're going to be okay. You know that, right? I'm starting to. Good. Because you deserve to be. I drove home thinking about deserving. Did I deserve peace after what I'd done? Did my children deserve punishment for what they'd done to me? Maybe it wasn't about deserving. Maybe it was just about surviving, moving forward, building something better. At home, I found an email from Maria. Mr. Hartmann, the Eleanor project was accepted for the National Engineering Competition. We're going to finals in June. I wanted you to know. Thank you for everything. You gave me more than a scholarship. You gave me purpose. Maria. I wrote back. Eleanor gave you purpose. I just helped with tuition. Proud of you, Stanley. That night, I sat on my balcony and watched the city lights. Somewhere out there, Christopher was working his tech support job, sending $50 checks. Anna was volunteering at a senior center, trying to be better. Jake was processing insurance claims, staying clean. They were broken people trying to heal. Just like me. I couldn't forgive them yet. Maybe I never would. But I could acknowledge their efforts. I could stop actively hating them. That felt like progress. Raymond's voice echoed in my head. Build something they can't touch. I'd built Eleanor's scholarship, the cooperative, my own peace of mind. My children couldn't touch any of it. Neither could my past. I'd won. Not just the revenge, that was easy. I'd won the harder thing, the ability to move forward without bitterness consuming me. That was the real victory. April arrived with thunderstorms. I was in my condo, reviewing quarterly reports for collective logistics, when my phone rang. Unknown number. I answered. Mr. Hartmann? This is Tom Preston, Dean of Engineering at the university. Do you have a moment? Of course. I wanted to inform you personally. We're dedicating the new engineering building to Eleanor, the Eleanor Hartmann Center for Practical Innovation. The board approved it unanimously. I couldn't speak. Mr. Hartmann? I'm here. Thank you. Your contributions have transformed our program. 20 students on full scholarship now, 3 faculty positions funded, new equipment in every lab. Eleanor's legacy is real and tangible. We want to honor that. The dedication ceremony was scheduled for May 15th. I agreed to attend, but declined to speak. Some honors speak for themselves. The weeks leading up felt strange. I was excited but also melancholic. Eleanor would never see the building, never meet the students, never know what her memory had accomplished. But maybe that was okay. Maybe the work mattered more than the recognition. On May 14th, the night before the dedication, Christopher called. Dad, I saw the news about the building. It's incredible. It's for your mother. I know, and I know I probably shouldn't ask, but can I come? To the ceremony? My first instinct was no, absolutely not. But then I thought, would Eleanor want him there? Yes, she would. You can come, I said, but don't sit with me, and don't expect anything. I understand, thank you. The ceremony was beautiful. Hundreds of people, students, faculty, donors, press. The building itself was modern, all glass and steel, with Eleanor's name in steel letters above the entrance. Dean Preston spoke first, eloquent and moving. Then Maria, representing the scholarship students, she talked about Eleanor's belief in practical innovation, about how engineering should solve real problems for real people. Mrs. Hartmann never met me, Maria said. But she changed my life. That's the power of legacy. I sat in the front row, barely holding it together. After the ceremony, people approached to congratulate me. I shook hands, accepted thanks, and felt disconnected from all of it. This wasn't about me. It was about Eleanor. As the crowd thinned, I saw Christopher standing near the back, watching from a distance. He looked proud, also sad. I nodded to him. He nodded back. Then he left. That was enough. Anna sent a text. I saw the photos online. Mom would be so proud. Of the building. Of you. Wish I could have been there. I wrote back, thank you. That was enough too. By June, I'd settled into a routine. Consulting work 3 days a week. Scholarship meetings once a month. Time with myself the rest. I was learning to be alone without being lonely. Raymond's voice still echoed sometimes. Build something they can't touch. I'd done that. The scholarship was permanent. The building was permanent. The cooperative was thriving. My children were shadows in my life, present but distant. We'd probably never be close again. But we'd reached a truce. They were rebuilding themselves. I was building something new. That was all anyone could ask. On June 22nd, 2 years to the day since Raymond Hale first got into my car, I drove out to Eleanor's grave. The weather was perfect, warm, sunny, light breeze. I did it, I told her. I survived. I got revenge. Then I built something you'd be proud of. I'm not sure if that makes me a good person or just a complicated one, but I'm okay with not knowing. I left White Roses and drove to the Eleanor Hartmann Center. Students were everywhere, moving between classes, laughing, living. Maria saw me and waved. Mr. Hartmann, come see the prototype. I followed her inside. The building smelled like metal and electronics, like every engineering lab I'd ever worked in. Home. She showed me the latest version of the Eleanor project. The prosthetic hand was sleek now, functional, affordable. We're partnering with a veterans hospital for testing. If it works, we can manufacture them for under $500 each. Eleanor would love this. I know. That's why I'm doing it. As I left the building, I stopped at the dedication plaque. Eleanor Hartmann Center for Practical Innovation, dedicated to Eleanor Hartmann, 1960-2023, who believed engineering should serve humanity, not ego. Perfect. Absolutely perfect. I walked to my car, feeling lighter than I had in years. My phone rang. Christopher. Dad, I'm calling to say goodbye. I'm moving to Seattle. New job, better pay, fresh start. Good for you. I want you to know, I'm different now. Not who I was. Not yet who I want to be, but better. That's all anyone can do. Will I ever see you again? I thought about it. Maybe. Someday, when we're both ready. I'd like that. So would I. We hung up. I sat in my car, engine off, watching students stream in and out of Eleanor's building. I'd started this journey destroyed, humiliated, alone. I'd become vengeful, calculating, ruthless. Then I'd become something else. Something better, I hoped. My children were absent, but healing. Eleanor was gone, yet present in every part of the work I'd built. Raymond was gone, but his wisdom lingered. I was 69 years old. I had money, purpose, peace. I had scars, but no open wounds. I'd won, not just against my children, against bitterness, against becoming the monster I could have become. That was the real victory. I started the car and drove toward home. The city stretched out before me, full of possibility. Eleanor's voice echoed in my memory. Stanley, you're better than you think you are. Maybe she was right. Maybe I was finally becoming the person she'd always seen, the person I'd forgotten I could be. I smiled and kept driving, the future uncertain but mine, the past painful but finished. I'd survived, I'd rebuilt, I'd won. And that was enough.